It's our last show in the run, and there's a huge amount to tool you up on before April hits, as that is the financial all change. There's the tax year deadline, so I urgently want to show you how to boost your savings rates and minimise tax with the top ISAs, as well as possible last-ditch tax reclaims if you're an employee, if you're married, if you wear a uniform to work, or if you've got a PPI payout in the past. It could be thousands. Yet April doesn't just shower. It pees down on the nation with a host of price hikes. Water bills up 20%, energy up, broadband up, mobile bills up, stamp prices up, stamp duty will cost more, council tax up, EV car duty up. Yet I hope to show many of you how to beat or at least mitigate those price hikes. If you act now, steal a march on April. There's a lot to get through. And while we may be talking April, now I want to pass you over to a woman who's nobody's fool. Jeanette Quatchy, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Martin. Now, for the final time, if you'd like to send in your questions, or if you've got any successes from this series you'd like to tell us about, get in touch on X, Blue Sky or Instagram using the hashtag Martin Lewis, or email the team, martinlewis@itv.com. And as always, a huge welcome to our studio audience.
Wave your wallets, everybody!
Wave those wallets!
We love it. I'm going to miss that when we're off.
Fabulous. Now, Martin, last week's show on wills and power of attorney that really spurred people on to make some changes, even those people who are a little bit reluctant, including this from Angela. She says, brilliant show last week. I've been trying to get my husband to make a power of attorney for a long time, and he thought it wasn't important until the show. So thank you.
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
Incredibly important power of attorney, probably more important than a will. Well done for Mr. Angela for listening, although maybe listen to Angela next time.
Indeed, indeed. And there are also some people who decided to make it official, like this coming from Karen. After watching your recent shows and after living together for nearly 40 years, we've decided to get a civil partnership to ensure we don't have issues when one of us dies. The added security of a civil partnership is a no-brainer. Oh, no-brainer.
I've had so many messages like that. I reckon I may be responsible for more marriages or civil partnerships in the registry office, to be honest. Look, I mean, the inheritance tax benefits, the security in a will if you don't have a will, you know, the ease of divorce as well is really important. If you think of marriage, I don't like the baggage, it's a paternalistic or an overly religious institution. Civil partnership, exactly the same legal rights. And it's worth looking at if you're a long-term couple.
Yeah, now, ahead of tonight's subject, the cost of rising bills. Diane's got a question for you. Evening, Diane. Diane, where's... Oh, it's a tweet. Oh, my goodness. I thought Diane was in the audience. She's not. She's on my screen. Diane's saying, Martin...
It's going beautifully so far, really.
Sorry, I thought
Nobody noticed.
I apologise.
We'll cut it out in the edit.
Diane said, Martin, can you please tell me how much
done.
worse off I'm going to be in April with all the amount of bills going up? My hubby and I are OAPs.
So, look, I'm talking about all the actions you need to take, which mostly tend to be about negative things tonight by definition. But let's remember, you know, the state pension is going up 4.1%, benefits are going up 1.7%. I'll talk about those later. You know, national minimum wage is going up for those on low incomes, and many people do get an annual uprated pay rise in April. So you have to balance off the increase in your potential income. Not everyone will get that. I'm well aware of that. Against all the bills. But the bills are going up a lot. I mean, above inflation in many cases, which will, of course, push up inflation, and many of them are linked to inflation, so they'll push up the amount the bills go up at next year. It's a vicious cycle. Let me get onto my big briefing and talk you through it. OK, so remember, we're talking cash ISAs later and we're talking tax deadlines. Here's some of the big bill rises coming. It is not... Look at you shaking your head. It's not pleasant reading, is it? Water is the big one. All of these are happening around the 1st of April, some of them a little bit later. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through these 4 now and those 4 at the end of the show so that I'm splitting the 2 of them up. But this is important stuff going on here. You've got something for me?
We have got a question here on water. It's coming from Christina from the virtual wall. Christina, good evening.
Hi. Hi, Martin.
Hello.
My water bill has gone up over 30% this year. We earn too much overall to get any assistance for our bills. How can we challenge these increases if we can't switch companies? What do I do?
Well, no, I mean, it is a real issue that we have privatisation but not competition, which some might argue, including me, would be the worst of both worlds in this case. But there are things you can do. Watch this. I'm going to come back to you in a moment as I talk you through it. Let me go to my water page. Here we are. So, Water bills and water meter charges are going up. Those are the price rises for all the different firms. They're going up an average of 26%. Only one company, those in Surrey and South London and Kent, some of you, will see any drop. But look, all the rest, from 19% up to those in the Southern Water District, up 47%. And your personal rate may be higher because water firms can decide how much, where they're splitting it between those on bills and those on meters and the amount of water you use and the amount of sewerage you use. So yours might be higher or lower than those individual figures. This is really worth focusing on. Now, my first thing, and Christine, this applies to you.
Yeah.
So first question, do you have more or the same number of bedrooms in your home than people? So here's Jeanette in my house. They put me in a pinny and she's up in a huge bedroom. That's not fair. So 3 bedrooms, 2 people. We have more bedrooms than people. If so, a free water meter is likely to cut your costs. Go on to ccw.org.uk, Consumer Council for Water, use their calculator. What's the situation in your house?
We've got 4 people and 3 bedrooms.
So the likelihood is it won't work. I'd still got on the calculator anyway, because if you're light water users, it may well be beneficial. Because the way it works is you're bill-based, roughly, it's a proxy for rateable values, but on the value of your house. So you've got a very big house and there aren't many in you, you'd be better off being metered for the amount of water and sewerage that you use. It makes sense. So that's a no for you. If fitting a meter is not practical, then you can ask for an assessed charge. This will be people in flats. What they do is they then assess what they think you would pay if you were on a water meter. So again, if you're in that situation, it'll probably be lower and you'd save money and there's no risk of you using more. Also, check for freebies at savewaterssavemoney.co.uk. I'm going to be honest with you, there's not much you can do, and you'll be one of many people in that situation. You can go and try, but I think you may well be better off sticking on bills. So I would, you've asked the question, it's worth a check. I would spit and swear a little bit, to be honest.
I mean, I did ring and I tried to be calm, but it was very frustrating. And I was basically told it's because they've been told by the government they've got to put money into their infrastructure, and they're passing it on to everyone, and there's nothing they can do. The
rises are governed by the regulator Ofwat, which is allowing them to put up bills by an average 36% over the next 5 years. They're meant to invest some in infrastructure, but there are lots of questions out there of money to goes to shareholders and other issues out there at the same time. But you're in the same boat as everyone else. I get the frustration, but for many of you, you can save by going to a water meter. The other thing, and this won't apply to you from what you said at the beginning, there are 5.7 million eligible homes missing out on water discounts. There are social tariffs for those on lower incomes. Roughly, it depends on each water company, under £21,000 a year. And those on benefits, you may be able to pay up to 90% less. Check out your social tariffs of your water company. Go onto their website, check it out, or go and get local advice agency support. If you've got a medical condition, Crohn's disease, where you use more water, you might be able to use the WaterSure scheme. If you've got 3+ children, you're on benefits, and that will cap your bills. So check those out too. Not everyone can save, but there are things that you can do.
Success from Rodney on just this. I remembered seeing this on the show. My water rates were due to go up from April. I asked about switching to a water meter. They said I could do this right away. My bill is now going down from £73 a month to £20 a month. That's some saving for you. Thanks. Great.
So, look, this is the forgotten utility. That's 600 quid a year. It won't work for everyone, but it's absolutely worth trying and checking.
We're going to go on to mobiles next. So much to get through tonight. This is coming from Gary. Now, Gary's asking, my father is 83, relies on his mobile. He's coming to the end of his contract with his provider, who have pushed him up to a new rate of £24 a month. This is too much for him. He wants to keep his number, but switch ASAP. Is it easily done, and how? He's worried.
It's very easy to do. You have your phone, that's the handset you pay for, but you have the SIM in the back of your phone, which is what gives its identity and dictates the tariff that you're going to be on. And you can just swap your SIM to a new provider or the same provider if you're going to haggle. Let me get onto it. Keep that one up for me if you would, Jeanette. OK, so mobile contracts are rising. Roughly 6% or about £2 a month, depending. Now, this applies to broadband too. I've spoken before about how they've banned mid-contract inflation-linked price hikes. But that is only for people on new contracts, depending exactly when. If you've got a new contract this year, that may be you. In which case, they would have told you when you signed up, in pounds and pence, how much it was going to increase at that point. Yet many, probably most people, are on existing contracts. And if you're on an existing contract from before that time, you can still have the inflation-linked price hikes this year. So that's happening to many people. My big message, and this includes you, Gary, 14 million of you are out of contract, free to ditch, switch, move, or do whatever you like, or make them pay for your business. First thing, text info for free to 85075 to check. If you're on 3ID mobile or Smarty, then it'll reply back and you'll need to confirm your date of birth. Don't worry about that, just do it. What it will then tell you is whether you have any early termination or cancellation charges. You need those to be 0. That means you're out of contract and you can ditch and switch for free. What should you do? Don't go direct to the mobile companies. They'll always charge you more. The best deals are always on comparison sites where they do short-term promo offers. I'll put the equivalent prices in. Basically, that's where some of them have vouchers, some of them have bill credit. I factor all those in and average it over a year. Look at these prices at the moment. Just look at these. £24 a month. You've got a Labara SIM on Vodafone Signal, depending which site you go to, equivalent of between £2 or £5 a month over a year, and it's a 1-month contract. You can break it. £24 a month, £2 a month. Ridiculous. Smarty, unlimited minutes, they all have unlimited minutes, unlimited text, unlimited data on 3 Signal, as low as £10 a month. £24 a month, I bet that isn't unlimited. So most people are massively overpaying. SIM prices have gone down every year. 5 years ago, a 50 gig SIM was 13 quid a month. Now the cheapest are £3 a month. But every year, you've got above inflation price hikes if you're on a contract. Switchers get the best deals. Now, sorry.
Before you go any further,
Martin
Lewis, have a look at this. Lisa says, how do I stay with the same mobile company but change to a SIM-only deal? I have mine and my daughter's phone on my account. Both are out of contract, and we're currently paying £150 each month for both phones.
Horrendous. Lisa, the question is, what do you mean stay on the same mobile phone? Do you want to stay with the same network? In which case, you're probably going to need to haggle or look at what deals they've got for you. You're out of contract. They'll have cheaper deals than that. That's horrible. Or do you want the same signal? Important to remember, there are only 4 mobile phone companies in the UK. EE, O2, Vodafone and 3. Every other one is piggybacking on their signal, like Labara's on Vodafone or Smarty's on 3. So what you can do on some of the good comparison sites is you can tell it what signal you want and it will find you the cheapest provider on that specific signal. There may be other differences, but the signal will be coming from the same place. That's probably what you're worried about. You may be able to get it far cheaper. Final thing, if you go back to Gary, I'm really going on this one. Gary, want to keep your number. Keeping your number dead easy. Once you're ready to switch, text PAC to 65075. You'll get a code, you give that to your new provider, and that way you keep your existing number. I should also note they will also often try and keep you and give you a decent deal to keep you to stay if you're looking to switch. And you can haggle. I'll talk more how to do that in a moment if you want to stick with your existing provider.
OK, we've got a success on just this. It's coming from Steve. I was paying £71 a month. I took your advice and swapped to another provider on SIM only, paying 65p a month for 9 months, then £9.90 for the last 3, making an average of £2.97 for 12 months. This will save me £816 a year. I'm a pensioner, so thank you.
That'll be on a deal like this. That's a similar structured deal. You know why that happens? You sign up for a mobile phone with a handset. You're paying off the handset. You pay that off for 2 years. Your handset's paid off, and the mobile companies go, we're going to keep charging you the same thing until you notice, even though your handset is now paid off. It should be banned. It isn't banned. That's why people get in those situations. Know when your handset is paid off on your contract, and then you want that price to plummet.
OK, we're going from mobiles now to broadband. Have a look at this from Linda. I really don't know where to begin regarding my broadband contract. My contract ends next month and is increasing from £28.50 to £43 a month, which is ridiculous. What are my options?
Well, we can easily beat that. Let's go through it. It's very similar to mobile in reality. Again, you've got those mid-contract price hikes or those standard rates going up. There's a host of different providers that I've put up there. 7 million of you are out of contract. Many of you can halve your costs and double your speed. I don't know what speed Linda is on, but we can definitely get close to halving the cost. These are just a couple of examples. Again, it's promo deals on comparison sites, not direct. Why? Because direct, they have to offer it to existing customers. Rather than reducing the tariff, they put marketing spend in. They'll give you a £100 bill credit, or they'll give you a £100 MasterCard, prepaid MasterCard you can spend on. That's how you get the big discounts on these. You don't get those generally going direct, or you get extra ones comparisons. Just a couple of examples. There's a Virgin 132 meg fibre deal. You pay £24 a month, and then they tell you the price is going to go up in April 2026. It's on an 18-month contract. You get £55 automatic bill contract. You add all that up, it's equivalent to £22 a month. That's £43 a month. There's a Sky 500 meg deal. Factor it all in with the prepaid MasterCard, £28.50 a month. There's one thing I need to tell you about Sky. You know, I said they have to tell you pounds and pence before you sign up. There's an opt-out for them on that. If they don't, and they put the price up mid-contract on a new contract, you can then leave penalty-free within 30 days. None of them are doing it except Sky, which means, in a way, this is artificially cheap over the next 2 years. It will probably put its prices up and you'll be able to leave. But as it's a cheap contract, you probably won't want to. So in reality, that may be a quid or two higher, but it's 500 meg at that type of price. And that's super fast. All these are postcode dependent. Also check the altnet deals. Those are local community type deals that are much quicker. Community fibre in London is about 20 quid for nearly a gig. Double that speed, nearly a gig of speed. You know, go and check it out. Get yourself on a comparison site. Do that. Finally, because they're winding me up, I'm already running over. I knew I would in this programme. If you're on universal credit or pension credit, check if your provider has a social tariff. 4 million people are missing out on those. That's where you get a constant price, not a short-term deal like these. A constant price, not the quickest speed, but much cheaper, 13 to 20 quid a month. Go and see if that's available for you. If you are on universal credit or on pension credit, it can be much cheaper. And to finish, if you want to stick with the provider you're with, as many people do, find your best price. Remember, they're postcode dependent, so find the cheapest that you can get on a comparison site in your area. When you're out of contract, take it to your existing provider, ask them to match it. If they won't, say you'd like to go through to disconnections. Disconnections is what is internally known as customer retentions. The people who have the power to keep you, and see if they'll give you a better deal. If not, you might want to leave, or you might want to say, I'm going to check with my husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, pet pigeon just before I leave, and I'll call you back if I do want to leave. In other words, if they call you bluff, there's a way to get out of it. Jeanette.
We're moving from this now onto energy next, aren't we? So let's take a look now at Stephen P's question. Stephen P is saying, I fixed my energy supply for gas and electric for 12 months last April. I have a £100 exit fee if I switch early. The prices are expected to rise in April. What is the best action for me to take and when?
So I think the question's wrong. I'm going to split this into two. You say you have a £100 exit fee. I don't believe you do. If you are in the last 50 days of your switch, so day 49 of your fix, day 49 to when your fix ends, they cannot legally charge you an early exit fee. So by the look of that, if it's ending in April, they can't charge you an early exit fee. You are free to leave. Whether you should or not is a different question. Time for the graph. Here we are. You've all seen it before. This is where we are right now. This is the energy price cap that dictates the price 2/3 of homes in England, Scotland and Wales pay for energy. It's the default tariff. So when Stephen comes off his fix, he will move on to the energy price cap if he does nothing. It's the default. It's where, if you've never switched or you come off a fix, it's what you go to. Now, we know that is rising 6.4% on the 1st of April. That is announced, it's fixed, it's locked in. That's going to happen unless you're on a fix, unless you're not on the standard tariff. That's happening to you. Here's the predictions afterwards. There's a range of them. They've got better. The situation with a potential improvement in Ukraine has brought down the predictions. As you can see now, it's predicted it will come down around 6 or 7% in April. This one's more firm, although it can still change, and then go up a little bit after. But the price you'll be paying after April, if this is right, and the further right you go, the more crystal ball glazing, is roughly what you're paying right now. So it'll go up and it'll come down to where it is right now. But let's have a look at where the cheapest fix is. Cheapest fix on the market is 7% below current prices, 13% below April prices. So you can lock in on a cheap fix now. You will save substantially in April. And if the predictions are right and things can change, well, you will continue to save throughout the year, just not as much. Now, a few things I need to point out on that. Fixes are available for almost all payment methods, even if you don't have a smart meter, unless you're on smart prepay. The volatile Ukraine situation could still mean that this moves as because what's happening in the Middle East. If you're worried that things might get a lot cheaper, therefore you would be wrong to lock in, then you could get a no-exit penalty fix. It's more expensive. It's about 1% below the current price cap. But that way, at least, you would save now, you would save in April, and then if things did get substantially cheaper then, because the world has changed, you'd be able to leave without any early exit penalties and go and get a different deal at that point. So that's your sort of, if you're nervous, route. But have a look at that. Don't get that price rise happen in April without doing something when you can still fix cheaply.
OK, that was chunky. There's lots to get through on the show. But next, there's lots of tax rebate deadlines. Claim now or you can miss out on hundreds or thousands of pounds. And still to come, how to boost your savings interest with urgent top cash ISAs. We'll see you in 4. before we go on a bit of a break, lots coming in online as usual, but Martin, you've got loads to get through, so where are we going next?
Yeah, 17 things to get through. I just want you to picture the back at the start of the pandemic. It's about 5 years ago, and that's important in tax terms too. To try and jog your memory, this was number one. Here we are. You may not be blinded by the light, but you need to say goodbye to 2020-21. There are rules in tax that you can only claim back 4 tax years. When this tax year ends on the 5th of April, you lose the ability to claim back anything that happened in 2020-21. So 6th of April 2020 to the 5th of April 2021. Remember that date. Everything I'm about to talk about is about claiming back to then. Let me get straight through with this then. So the first one, marriage tax allowance. You need to be married or in a civil partnership. Just cohabiting, even with kids, doesn't count. This is where the non-taxpayer can give 10% of their tax-free allowance to the 20% rate taxpayer. 40% rate, it doesn't count. And therefore, they have more income that they can earn without paying tax on it. It's worth about 250 quid a year. You can backclaim 4 years, so that's about 1250 quid. But if you were eligible 4 years ago in 2021, you need to claim now, or you're about to lose the ability to backclaim to that tax year. It's a big subject. I covered it in detail in the show on the 13th of February. Watch that back. Trying to get 17 subjects today, so I've got to do some of them pretty quick. Next, did you get a PPI payout in that year? It was a big year for PPI payouts. Check right now. Many unnecessarily had tax deducted from their payouts. Tax was deducted automatically. It's the same tax as savings. It was taken off you. But most people can earn £1,000 a year of interest in savings without paying tax, so shouldn't have been paying it. If so, you can claim the tax back via the government R40 form on gov.uk. It's easy to do it yourself. Don't pay anyone. You may need some help, in which case there are free PPI payout reclaim guides online that you can read that will take you through it. You're stopping me? Yep. Go
I am stopping you. Just before you go any further, I have to read this success from Michelle. I got a little over £4,000 in PPI, and tax back on that PPI. Wouldn't have got anything had I not seen your programme.
So to put it in context, I mean, there's lots of variables, but someone who got 4,000 in PPI would expect to get about £300 in tax back. So that's the amount on top you're talking, roughly, if we go there. Do you wear a uniform to work? It could be a branded T-shirt. It could be a full uniform. If you do, and you wash or repair it yourself, then you can claim a tax rebate. It's the P87 form on gov.uk. You do not need to pay anyone to do this for you. Now, the allowance, you get a £60 a year allowance. If you're a basic rate taxpayer, you save 20% tax on that. That would be £12 a year. Higher rate taxpayer, it would be double that because you're paying 40% tax. So it's not huge. It'd be 60 quid going back this year and 4 previous years, or 24 quid going back that way. But it's worth checking out the uniform tax rebate. Couple more for you. Tax codes. Urgently check if yours is correct, but more importantly for the backdating, was correct in 2020-2021. Your tax code tells your employer or pension provider what tax to take from you. It'll normally look something like this. This is the typical one. There we go. Just so you know what that means, add a 0 to the end. There we are. And a pound at the beginning. That's your personal allowance, how much you can earn tax-free each year. That's what the tax code is saying. Now, millions of them are wrong. And the crucial thing here, it is not HMRC's responsibility. It is not your employer's responsibility. It is your responsibility to ensure it's right. Now, you may have overpaid hundreds or thousands of pounds in 2020, 2021. This is your last opportunity to check if that's right. So go online to a tax code calculator, which will help explain what it meant, and check if it is right. Because if not, you're going to miss the opportunity to get the money back if you overpaid. If you underpaid, by the way, funnily enough, they have longer to come back and reclaim the tax back off you. That's the way it works. Oh, you got another one.
Yeah, we have. It's come from Will. Will is asking, I got my tax code through this year and it's made me think my previous tax code has been wrong for the last 4 years. What can I do?
Well, it's very simple. You need to do exactly the thing. Assuming you're in the same job 4 years ago, it's pretty simple. You need to get in touch with HMRC and put in a claim to try and get the tax repaid. I mean, if you're struggling, be very nice to the people who work in payroll at your firm who tend to understand this a little bit better and see if they could help you with it. But there's free help online that should enable you to do this yourself. Obviously, you've got an accountant and they should be doing it with you. Right, shall we move on?
Yes, please.
OK. If you've been watching the show, you'll all know about this. If you haven't, you need a heads up. If you're aged 40 to 73, can you boost your state pension by tens of thousands of pounds? This is a much bigger deadline than the last 4 years. This is your last chance to buy any missing national insurance years from 2006 to 2019. 13 years disappear. on the 5th of April. It is a must check if you're of those age. Now, we did a full special on it on the 4th of March. It's on ITVX. If you don't know about this, you need to go and watch that if you're the right age group. This is absolutely massive. To prove it, I got my biggest success, and I gave it to you. You can read it out.
This is amazing. It's coming from Tracy, right. So thank you so much for bringing this to my attention. I've now paid an additional 18 years of missing Class 2 National Insurance contributions, which cost me £2,968.25. This has increased my state pension from £69.52 per week to £183.28 per week. As it stands, I reckon this has given me an additional £5,915.52 pension per year. If I live 20 years, that's an incredible £118,310.40 extra. Wow, unbelievable.
Let me repeat. It is a must check if you're aged 40 to 73. Watch the full programme on the 4th of March. It's absolutely crucial, it's urgent, and then it disappears. We won't be talking about it again.
Now, I want to change topics again quickly. And I've been wanting to ask you this question for a couple of weeks. Let's try and squeeze it in here. It's coming from Jay. Now, Jay is saying, I purchased a new iPhone 6 months ago. I took it back after 5 months as the charging port was not working. They said that they won't repair the phone under the warranty as the port is corroded, saying that it's my problem and that it's not covered. I didn't take out the extended cover. What are my rights? Uh-oh.
I've been waiting to pick this up for a few weeks now. Here we go. Let's be very plain. A warranty is a contractual thing that they give you when you buy stuff from the manufacturer that might give you some extra rights. But I say warranty, schmorranty, remember that. Warranty, schmorranty. Because when you buy an item from a retailer, you have statutory rights, legal rights, whenever you buy it that says the item must be of satisfactory quality, as described, fit for purpose and last a reasonable length of time. If I bought a £1,000 phone and the charging point goes after 5 months, as long as I've not broken it, that is not fit for purpose, that did not last a reasonable length of time. You go back to them and say, I don't care about your warranty. Warranty? Well done. I don't care about your warranty. Under the Consumer Rights Act, I have a legal right with you, the retailer. There may also be the manufacturer if he bought it from the same store, but it doesn't matter. You have to, because I haven't taken it back within a month, either give me a repair or a replacement. That is my legal right. And if you don't do it, I'm going to call Citizens Advice Consumer Helpline. And if you still don't do it, I'm taking you to court under the Small Claims Court. Warranty, schmorranty.
Next up, how savings tax works and whether you should or shouldn't use an ISA. We'll see you after this.
Hello, welcome back. I've done 9 of my 17 must-dos before April hits, although we were talking something separate, warranty schmorranty before the break. By the way, it tends to be the big overseas tech companies who ignore UK rights and talk about their warranty as if that was the law. It isn't. UK rights trump it. Don't let them get away with it. Jeanette, what's...
Yeah, indeed. We've had lots of you asking about a rumoured cut in the cash ISA allowance. I promise I'll put those to Martin in a moment. But for now, let's get into the basic introduction in the next big briefing.
OK, so cash ISAs, use them or lose them by the 5th of April. A cash ISA is just a savings account where the interest is never taxed. It's no more complicated than that. You can put £20,000 in per tax year in a cash ISA or in ISAs in general. Go quickly, though, as if you need to fill this year's, while the deadline is the 5th of April, in practice, many of the product providers close earlier for admin reasons, so just get on with it and sort it out now. Now, the important thing to understand is once your money's in a cash ISA, it's tax-free year after year. Let me explain it this way. So you could put, if you were lucky enough to have the money, you could put, if you haven't used your ISA this year, £20,000 in now. That's this tax year. And it will stay in a cash ISA. Then, on the 6th of April, you get another £20,000 that you can put in. So now you've got £40,000 in. If things don't change, and we'll come on to that in a moment, the year after, you could put in another £20,000, so that's £60,000 plus interest in, and another, and another, and another, which is why some people have hundreds of thousands of pounds in cash ISAs, and it's why you need to beat the deadline. Just in case you have the money to put in next year's, you don't want to not use this year's. You max out when it is appropriate for you to do so. So that's the start on cash ISAs.
And just before you carry on with that, Martin, I just want to ask you this. Susan's tweeted in, is 80 too old to take out a cash ISA?
Well, unlike other ISAs, there's no age limit on cash ISAs.
Great.
But as I'm assuming you're a pensioner, actually, whether you would pay tax on savings anyway is the other question. Cash ISAs protect you from tax, but do you pay tax on savings? I've never tried to do this in detail before on the show. I'm going to try now. So there are three things most people need to know about. The first is the main one, your tax-free personal allowance, the amount everybody can earn, and it does vary depending on factors, each year in earnings and interest on savings that you don't pay tax on. The standard figure is £12,570 a year. You all know about that, yeah? OK. There's also the personal savings allowance. If you are a 20 or 40% rate taxpayer, you are allowed to earn a certain amount of interest separately tax-free. Let me show you. So, if for basic rate taxpayers it's £1,000 a year, for higher rate taxpayers it's £500 a year, why? You both get a £200 benefit, 20% of 1,000 and 40% of 500 is 200 quid. So, in the top easy access savings account at the moment at 4.75%, to earn £1,000 you'd need about 21 grand. For a high rate taxpayer you'd need £10,500 to earn 500. So if you have substantially less than this and there's no foreseeability of you having more, you don't really need to use a cash ISA because you're not going to be taxed on your savings anyway. Yeah? OK. Now, let's do the one I don't normally talk about. I hope I can make this make sense. For lower earners, there's also a thing called the starting savings rate that is not commonly talked about, that can let you earn up to £5,000 of extra interest tax-free in savings. I've tried to design this graphic. Let's have a go. So imagine someone has £6,000 of savings interest a year. Well, clearly, if that's all they had, all of it would be tax-free because of your tax-free personal allowance. So we could also add in earnings of 7,570 quid. That's 12,570. All that would be tax-free. That's your personal allowance. Now, let's say we move this up. So now your earnings take up all of your tax-free personal allowance. Well, the starting savings rate said, in this circumstance, you can have £5,000 of savings tax-free in savings interest, tax-free, on top of your earnings, plus your personal savings allowance, that £1,000 we talked about it, so that's £6,000. So that would mean you would have £18,570 of combined earnings and savings interest totally tax-free. Now we get to the tricky bit. For every pound you earn, earnings, work earnings or other earnings, above the personal savings allowance, let's say you go up £1,000, you lose £1 of your starting savings allowance. So you go £1,000 above that in earnings, you lose £1,000 of the tax-free here. So now only that £4,000 is tax-free of the starting savings allowance and that £1,000 of your personal savings allowance. Does that make sense? Earnings above there takes it away from here. So if that continued up, so now you're earning 17,570 quid, you would lose all the starting savings allowance, and that's gone from that point onwards. But because you're still a basic rate taxpayer, you would keep your personal savings allowance. So if I go back to my main page, the starting savings rate only applies to lower earners who have substantial savings. That's who it's really good for, which is often pensioners, exactly as we were just being asked the question. And the final thing to say is cash ISAs, they're not just tax-free. But any interest you earn in a cash ISA doesn't count towards these allowances. It's totally separate. So you can have it on top. It's an extra allowance if you need it. So you could have £18,570 with the starting savings allowance of earnings and savings interest and cash ISA interest on top of that, and it would all still be tax-free. Make sense?
Yes. OK, so on this, bear with me, there's a lot of numbers in this one. I've just gone over the protected £85,000 in a one-year fixed cash ISA with the interest paid, and it's now a flexible ISA paying 2.15%. Do ISA rules allow me to transfer it to a better paying ISA? Also, I will have another £20,000 to invest before April. Can I open a new ISA with the £20,000 and transfer the unprotected amount over £85,000 into it?
So what he's asking is, I'm protected up to 85 grand. I want to put more money in, and I'm above the 85 grand. So could I have it in a separate account so everything is protected because it's £85,000 per institution?
Yes.
Simple answer, yes. You can now transfer both past and current year ISAs partially, so you don't have to move all of it in one go. That's since 2024 you've been allowed to do current year ISAs. So yes, you can do what you want to do, but I wouldn't, because that is a pants rate. So I wouldn't want to keep my money in that old ISA. What I would want to do in your circumstance is I'd want to move everything above the 85 grand and the new money into one new cash ISA, and then I'd apply to another cash ISA elsewhere with a better rate and transfer all that across too. So I'd be doing 2 transfers and up your interest rates, which brings me nicely on to what are the best players, and this gets complex, folks. OK, use them or lose them. All of these accept new money and allow transfers in. You transfer in not by taking money out, but by applying on the application form to transfer money in and let them move it for you. And they've all got full UK saving safety. Easy access. So these are all variable rate. This has changed 7 times today because they're fighting to be top of the best buys, because I think they probably know I'm doing this programme and I'm putting this information out elsewhere, to be absolutely honest with you. Often going up by 0.01%. These 4, Plum, Moneybox, Chip, and the one that, when I started the show at least, was top, Trading 212. But these are all short-term bonus rates. They're sort of playing the market for the best buy tables. So the underlying rate here is 4.5%, but you get a 3-month, 0.75% newbies bonus, taking up to 5.25%, but it'll drop quickly. All of these work in exactly the same way. This one has the best underlying rate, Trading 212. You want a straight rate, Tembo, 4.8% is the top straight rate. But remember, they're variable. They can drop the rate any time. That's what variable means. If you want a big name, there's a post office at 4.4%. Now, 3.15% of that, percentage points of that, is a 1-year bonus. 2 ways to look at that. It's going to be pants in a year, because the rate will drop, but you're guaranteed a minimum 3.15% for the first year. So you might want to put the money in there, get that guarantee, and then you're going to have to transfer it in a year's time to go somewhere else. Now, let's contrast those to the top normal savings. Well, for the last 6 months we've had this position, cash ISAs are beating normal savings. So, even if you don't need the tax advantage, you may as well open one of these because the interest rates are better, even if you don't need it for tax. And in fact, if you did need it for tax, look at this, the top 4.75%, well, you'd only be earning 3.8% after basic rate tax and left after the other tax. So that one needs 25 grand in, that one just needs 1k in, and then you've got the same post office does the same in savings. Fixed rate cash ISAs, it's the opposite. Normal fixed rates pay more at 4.6% if you're not paying any tax than the fixed rate cash ISAs. But with these, you can access your money during the term. You can take your money out, you'll pay a big interest penalty. So in an emergency, you could get your money, you can't in these. But again, if you were paying tax, well, 4.6 after 20% tax is 3.68. I mean, it's pants compared to what you get over there. So then the cash ISA is definitely better. In summary, if you're not paying tax or you're paying tax, easy access cash ISAs win. If you are paying tax, fixed normal if you are paying tax, fixed cash ISAs win. If you're not paying tax, fixed normal savings win. I hope that made sense. She's given me 1 minute, and I know we've got more to get through.
You've got a question indeed. It's coming in from Debbie. And Debbie's, this is around the rumours, isn't it, around the cash ISAs? And Debbie's in the studio. Yeah. What's your question for Martin?
Rachel Reeves is on about taxing cash ISAs, which are currently tax-free. And is she also on about minimising it to 4 grand instead of the 20 grand a year? So if that's the case, what is the best thing to save in to protect your interest from tax?
I haven't heard anything about taxing cash ISAs. Okay. The only rumour I've heard is dropping the future allowance from 20 grand to 4 grand. Apparently it's not coming in the spring statement. I don't have that confirmed. That's other people's reports. But it might come in the autumn budget. It's still being considered. No decision's been made. Now, if that's right, and I haven't spoken to the Chancellor on this, so I don't know, I just know everything I've read on it. Let's just make it plain for everyone. Some people saying taking money out of cash ISAs, that would be bonkers. Bonkers. Right, look, remember my jumping before? What it would mean is you could put 20 grand in this year. You could put 20 grand in next year if she doesn't drop it on the 6th of April. I've now got 40 grand. But it may be that the year after, I can only put 4 grand in. So I've only got 44 grand protected. I wouldn't take money out of those. They're still protected. I think it would be very unlikely they change that. It's just about, the rumour is talking about being able to put less in cash ISAs in future in order to try and encourage people to invest. I don't think that will work because I think people who want to save, and people who want to invest are different. Yeah. So I think it's a false equivalence. But if they do it, they're talking about lowering the amount you can put in a cash ISA. So don't let that stop putting money in a cash ISA now. In fact, you should be putting more in a cash ISA. We've got to go to break now. I have to
interrupt you after the break. What you can do about the rise in council tax, stamp duty, and an important note for anyone with an EV car. We will see you soon.
It's the final countdown Sorry for going so fast, but there's so much I wanted to tell you before the series ends. Just one quick thing about ISAs. Of course, it's not just the cash ISA year that's ending. If you've got a junior ISA and you're putting savings away for your child tax-free until they're 18, that's got a 5th of April deadline. If you're a first-time buyer saving in a lifetime ISA, which can give you up to £1,000 a year free from the state towards your first property under £450,000, that's got a 5th of April deadline. And the stocks and shares ISA, if you're going to invest, just because I don't talk about investing doesn't mean I don't think it's a good idea. It's not my subject, but over a long term, it can easily outperform saving. That's got a 5th of April deadline. Remember, the total you can have in ISAs in the year is 20 grand. So you could have 20 grand in the cash ISA, 20 grand in the stocks and shares ISA, or put 10 grand in the stocks and shares ISA and 10 grand in the cash ISA. Can't put 20 grand in both. Anyway, that was a quick summary. We're going fast tonight. Jeanette.
There is so much coming up. Final furlong of the show now. We normally do news you can use here. Bit different tonight, but we'll call it that anyway.
OK, let's cheat. Yeah, it's April news you can use. More April stuff happening. 3 tax changes on the 1st of April. Stamp duty, the tax you pay when you buy a house, will cost more in England and Northern Ireland. It's staying the same in Scotland and Wales. So, look, I mean, this is the one I really can't beat. Unless you're in the process now and you could complete by the end of the month, you're not going to be able to go into the line. You're probably going to pay more if you're doing it next year. Let's just have a look at what the changes are. So, if you're not a first-time buyer, currently you don't pay stamp duty on the first 250 grand. From the 1st of April, that drops to 125,000. You'll then pay 2% on up to 250,000, and it stays the same above that. What that means is everybody buying a house over £250,000 will pay 2.5 grand more. That's the maths. That's simple. First-time buyers, it's a little bit more complex. Currently, you don't pay to 425,000. That's dropping to 300,000. You'll then pay 5% up to 500,000. After that point, it was 625. You're no longer a first-time buyer. So you need to look at that one if you're a first-time buyer buying a property over £500,000, because this one doesn't exist for you. You only get it on that amount. I mean, it basically means you buy a house, stamp duty's a lot bigger. OK, next one. Council tax bills are rising. 2 options to try and cut costs. Again, you see what I'm doing in this show. I did a full special on this on the 12th of November, a whole hour on it, ITVX, lots of details about how you check and how you challenge. I'm going to summarise it here, but you need to watch that before you do anything, because if you get it wrong, your price and your neighbours may go up. Is your band too high? Compare yourself to neighbours in identical properties. You can view bands at gov.uk and saa.gov.uk. That link is wrong, in Scotland. Wales has rebanded since. If you go on there and you find that you're in a higher band in neighbours in similar properties, please watch that show. Don't do anything more. But just to summarise, then you'd go and use online tools to find your house's 1991 value, which determines the band you should be in. And only challenge if you pass both those checks. If you just pass one, you could get it wrong. It could be everybody else is in too low a band and they put them all up. Separately, are you eligible for a discount? If you live alone or with under 18s or with students, you may be able to, with a single person's discount. If you're a student in an all-student household, you shouldn't be paying. If you have a disability, depending, you may be eligible for a discount or to change the banding of your house. If you're a living carer, there may be, not definitely, a discount. And if you have a severe mental impairment, I've long campaigned about this, could be something that impairs your social functioning, could be severe dementia, could be a very severe Parkinson's or stroke, then you are disregarded a bit like a student is for council tax. It's a similar way, so you might be entitled to the 25% single-person discount, or if both of you in the household had this, or it's just you, you might pay no council tax at all. It needs some reading. I haven't got time to go through it, but do that. Yes, you...
Just a very quick success on council tax from Yvonne. She's been in touch. Following your show last year, I contested my council tax band rating, and last December it was lowered from band G to F. I received a refund covering the last 30 years overpayments of £8,856. A good win, thank you. Wow.
Yes, I probably should have technically mentioned you don't just get your band lowered, you get a backdated payout from when you moved in as far back as 1993. A final one. Have you got an electric vehicle? If so, you will start to pay duty on it, typically £200 a year, from the 1st of April. But if you go onto gov.uk now and you retax it now while it's free, that will last a year. And you can do that even if it isn't a year since you last taxed it, even if it was 2 months since you last went and taxed it. So, regardless of your expiry, if you've got an electric vehicle, go and tax it now, and you'll, in fact, extend the time at which it's tax-free. My director, Richard, is telling me, because we did it on the show about 6 weeks ago, he's done it already and it works. Thank you, Richard.
Richard.
Nice
Well
to hear
done,
from you.
Richard. OK.
Right.
Quickies.
Let me move on as the clock is ticking down.
Very quickly.
I've got some quickies for you. On the 1st of April, important one this. Check now if your child's eligible for free school meals in England. Rough rule of thumb, very low incomes here. Under £7,400, not counting any benefits. This is why. If you apply by the 31st of March, you'll get free school meals for the whole phase of education. So if you're in primary, for the whole primary. If you're in secondary, for the whole of secondary. If you apply afterwards, a rule change means... Well, at first I thought it was you'd have to reapply every year, but they won't confirm exactly what the rules are, which is very frustrating. But you'll have regular eligibility checks, so you're better to apply sooner. There's a pensions and benefits rise, I've already mentioned them. New state pension up to £230.25, but more people are on the old pension, which is going up to £176.45. Benefits also up by 1.7%, many of them, which is inflation, last September's inflation. There's been big benefits announcements today. I've been working on this. I haven't gone in detail yet. I will be doing so. I know many people are quite concerned about that. And finally, stamps. First-class standard letter stamps only going up 5p, but large letters are going up by 21% up to 3.15. The fact is, if your stamp says first class on it, it's valid in future, whatever price you paid from it. So if you're going to need stamps in future, buy them now, stock up all you'll need in future, and they're inflation-proof. There's a wind-up over there. Jeanette, you've been wonderful. Thank you so much to our amazing team. Thank you to the audience here. We'll see you in May and then back for a full series in October. Bye-bye, and thank you for watching.
Thanks, Martin. And don't forget, if you missed any of that, you can re-watch it on STV Player. Next up here, it's Coronation Street.